trading desk of dailyforex.com. This is Christopher Lewis looking at the upcoming January 16th Forex session. In front of you is the Euro US dollar pair. And as you can see, we've had a fairly negative session here during the Tuesday trading day. However, having said all of that, it's not really a surprise. I mean, you get a move like this, a pullback really isn't out of the question. And why not 133? After all, was significant resistance. You could also make an argument for a bounce off the 38.2. Early days still, and you also would possibly go to the low swing. You want to take as many possible reads as you can, and it's still basically a 38.2 if you measure it from down here, which would have been the swing low. But most people would have been looking at the move, and now that we've kind of retraced this a little bit and zoom on the 4-hour chart, you can see it's a little more clear there. The question is what happens next? And looking at the daily chart, it does look like, so far at least, it has held as support. Now, whether or not it will, nobody really knows, but this looks like an area where buyers could step into the marketplace and push prices higher. What's interesting about this chart, and I'll go out on the weekly, is you see at the 135 level, if we can get up there, and it's only 200 pips, we would have an inverted head and shoulders kind of pattern here, a little bit of a perhaps a complex one, but definitely signaling a possible move up to 150 based upon the height, which is crazy to think of, but really, the way this pair tends to move in one direction sometimes, that you can see it's done it here, it's done it there, so it's really not out of the realm of possibility. Unfortunately, most of you probably haven't traded in that environment just simply because you're used to the markets being very schizophrenic. In fact, it was 5 years ago that markets traded in a relatively stable manner. Really haven't since then in most pairs, and that includes the Euro US dollar. I mean, you've had some significant moves like this, but you've also had a lot of this, and this pair does tend to trend very nicely over its history. So these types of moves that we've seen recently simply have been, a lot of the guys who've been around for a while have struggled. And looking at the daily chart, you can see it's just chop, 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 and we go back and forth. But now we are starting to at least try to make some type of trend again. And at this point in time, I believe that if we see some type of support, and even maybe on the smaller time frames, such as the hour or the 4-hour, a lot of support could be coming in, and we could finally make our run up to the 135 level. The ECB has stated that they are not going to cut rates under any circumstances, apparently, from what I've seen Mr. Draghi say. And the Federal Reserve, of course, wants to keep the zero interest rates between now and roughly the end of time. So it still becomes an interest rate differential. It's a slight one. It doesn't get as much out of that as, say, the Kiwi dollar or the Australian dollar or the South African rand or something like that. But nonetheless, it is one of the most liquid currency pairs out there. So a lot of people will turn to the euro first, and that might be what we see. Certainly this impulsive move here, I find it a little difficult to think that it was an accident, just like this one wasn't either, even though we did pull back significantly before we took off. So that being said, it does have a bullish bias. Now we have to see some type of supportive action in this general vicinity, which so far we are starting to see it.